I just thought we could bring in some business people here and also maybe examples. Let me start with you, Ms. Hai, and you are now in Ethiopia, and you've been doing good business there. I'm trying to understand the attraction when you scan the continent of Africa and you say, Ethiopia would be a good place to go. Why?
If you call leadership is part of the investment climate, then that is actually what attracted me to Ethiopia. The story started actually at March 2011 when Justin Lin, he was the chief economist of the World Bank. He had a meeting with the late Prime Minister Meles of Ethiopia, and he advised the Prime Minister that he should go to China to find a shoemaker to come to Ethiopia to start production, because that will help him for job generation and export generation. And I have to say, Meles, he's a very practical leader. 6 months later, he personally went to China and invited us to go to invest in Ethiopia. And if you look at Ethiopia with the World Bank doing business, it actually ranked 125 across the globe. So if you look at that as an indicator, you would never invest in Ethiopia probably in the next 20 years. But we did do that because as a private sector, I'm sure Dr. Ibrahim could share his opinion. But I think we came from a world, we believe, giant of action instead of giant of word. And then for us, actually, while I was in Ethiopia, I have a minister of industrial. He would meet me 7 o'clock in the morning to help me to solve my problem. And as an investor, if you have a minister who could go to the office earlier than the cleaner, that actually means something to me. And then another thing I want to say, actually last year, Ethiopia dropped from the doing business in World Bank from 125 to 127. In theory, you should think actually there wouldn't be any significance in investment in FDI, but I share with you one example. Before I came to Ethiopia, prior to 2011, they have an industrial zone. They struggled for 5 years to attract an investor to come in there to invest, actually to produce for export market. 2 years down the line after I invested, because it took me 3 months from decide investment to actual production. And then in the following 6 months, I doubled the export revenue for Ethiopia in the shoe sector. And then by month 12, I employed 2,000 local workers. And by month 24, I employed nearly 3,000 workers. And then as a result, what happened? Last year, Ethiopia government, they built their first government-owned industrial park. In the first phase, they designed to build 22 factory units. Out of the 22 units, only 8 of them are built. The other 14 are still just land. But with less than 3 months, without any advertisement, all the 22 factory units has all been listed out because has been a successful example we created. The investor actually from globe producing for export market, including from Bangladesh, Kenya, India, Turkey, Taiwan, China, they rented factory unit. So going back to your answer, I would say, I'm not a politician or I'm not an economist. So I believe practical leadership and success examples.
I see. Well, thank you very much. So in other words, you are suggesting don't believe everything you read. Statistics can just go out of the window. Would you say, we've heard everything you're saying, but there are tools that could be used universally to making sure that there is a climate that works. Some people might say, well, maybe you're just lucky. But is the environment conducive in Ethiopia to invest? Is the climate right?
I think we're in an early stage of development. If a country came to me saying, I have the perfect investment climate in Africa, do you think I would believe it? The answer is no. Of course, I expect there are problems. But the question is those problems going to be solved? Do I have support from the government or facilitators to help me to solve my problem? I give you one example of my own experience in Ethiopia. When I first meet the Prime Minister and the Minister, they promised me, Helen, we are going to support you 100% with your investment. But in reality, I was doing 100% export. In theory, all the raw material and the machinery should be tax-free for my production. But in reality, it was not the minister or the prime minister sitting at the port clearing my goods. It was some people probably only got paid $50 per month. And then do you ask that person to make a decision to clearing some goods he's never seen before? I didn't have that expectation. So what I've experienced, I have the brush to clean on the shoes. They say this is the brush to clean human teeth. It has to be taxed. I have a machine to make a hole on the shoe. They say this is weapon, it's illegal. It cannot be imported to the country. So what I have to do? I have to go to the Ministry of Tax, meet the Director General, get his organization chart, understood. He has 6 Deputy Director Generals, and I want to meet each of them, and also get the telephone number, and also names of the next 2 layer managers before each of them. And then I prepared a presentation, invite 20 of them into a meeting room to explain to them, who am I, why am I here, what I've done, what am I going to do, and then what's the problem I have encountered. And then inviting all of them to go to my production line, showing them every single equipment from the beginning to the end. But the reality is, after they all learned it, it's become very helpful.
So you're just being very practical. Thank you very much, Hai. I wanted to... Thank you very much.